Mr. Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you each for being here tonight. Probably there's no greater historical example of unpreparedness than what happened in the Philippines in 1942. I'd like to read just a couple of brief excerpts from one of those soldiers that was there. There were 10,000 Americans that surrendered. 650 died on the Bataan Death March by itself. All of those that survived that were weakened and endured horrific suffering, and more than 2/3 of them died. One of the survivors stated, "I'm one of the few Americans who has lost a war and who has seen an American army overrun and defeated by a combination of starvation, sickness, unpreparedness, and superior enemy forces. It was a lonesome feeling. I have seen a country we were defending occupied by hostile enemy forces, occupied thoroughly, efficiently, sadistically, and completely. I have seen the American way of life change in one moment and have seen the stunned, bewildered faces of the erstwhile American High Command as they tried to comprehend the enormity of the blow that had just struck them. I've seen veteran officers schooled for 30 years in traditional authority and routine of command change overnight into tired, dirty, beaten, unshaven old men just trying to keep walking. From American soldiers with the heritage of generations of liberty in our blood, we became the chattel. We used to say, if what is happening here could happen to everyone in the United States for just 1 week, what a change it would make in their attitude about the future insurance of our way of life. Use the prayers of our good people, but remember that prayers work better where the guns are bigger and the planes are faster and the regiments are more numerous. So in the back of all of these plans, I say, let's have what it takes, just in case some gentleman doesn't get the word. I do not know if all the peoples in the different nations will understand our high ideals and unselfish motives, but I do know one thing they'll understand. They'll know what force we have to back up what we say, and if it's big enough, they will act accordingly. The United States is big business. It's bigger than you and bigger than I, and I say there's no cost too great to preserve it. Secretary Mattis, you stated in the remarks tonight that the enemy will move against our weak areas and that Congress has at times risen to the challenge to provide what the military needs. I think we're in one of those moments now. When we take the President's budget and what this committee is proposing, when the DOE and defense-related dollars are subtracted, this committee is proposing about an additional $25 billion baseline dollars over the President's budget of $574. Why could the President not want to take Congress lead, and which budget would best prepare our military?
Congressman, thank you for what you read. I've read about that campaign, and I share your appreciation that either you don't want to be in second place, and we have no right to victory on the battlefield. That takes commitment, and that takes leadership, and how we got into this situation. I mean, I told you I was shocked when I came back and saw this. We are going to have to move this forward in a stable way. I'll just give you an example. We could not recruit right now 100,000 more troops for the U.S. military, additional, right now. You heard the acknowledgement earlier about what % of our young people are even eligible. We could not right now have the industrial base to build the number of ships, even if you were to somehow repeal the BCA, repeal the Budget Control Act, say you're going to pass budgets on time. We literally could not do some of this that would fully address what you rightly bring up in your role to raise armies and sustain navies. I would just tell you that we're going to have to work together, and if this is the will of the Congress, that they'd be willing to spend that amount, I am confident that the Commander-in-Chief would be in your corner all the way.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.